Good evening. Hello, hello. How are you guys doing? He's trolling. Did I have the time wrong? I don't think so, but I might have. Hey, Duck. Thought you retired? No, no. I mean, somewhat, but not fully. The market's up today, or like this week. Is it? No, today it's down, but it's been up the last couple of days, which is quite nice. Congrats on the new duckling. Thank you. I mean, it's not born yet, but he is. It's weird to say it because we learned today the gender of the child. Duck, the clock changed in Europe last weekend. Yeah, I know. Maybe it was wrong 1 hour, but it might have been because of my laptop. My apologies if so. Don, are you long? No. I mean, I have exposure always, just because I've been in crypto for so long. Like there's a bunch of stuff that I still have that I could generally not sell, but like at least not short term, but generally no. Should be though. The market looks quite good. And, I've seen a lot of people freak out. It doesn't look that bad. We'll talk about it though. I hope the little one's feeling better. Yeah, she is. I'm not. I got what she had, I think, but it's not that bad. Hi Doug, glad I could catch a stream for a change. I'm in Australia. Ah, sick. Yeah, it's a little bit later than usual. I spent a little bit of time with my wife. Dawn, is it time to go all in or not yet? I think it's a little bit late to all in, but you had a lot of chances to go all in. We talked about 62K when we were trading there. That was a good place to all in, or like lower time frame, well, a little bit lower. But I don't know. I mean, if you're bullish, why not? Trump NFTs? No, fuck no. I dumped these. I think I lost like 100 grand on them. Not quite, like 50, whatever. Don't remember. It's on chain, so people will know, something like that. I was up a shitload at some point, and then lost it all when he started a new project. Like he did like 2, 3, 4 NFT projects back to back to back. The man knows how to grift. That's all I'm gonna say about the NFTs at least. But yeah, before we start the show, big shout out to Woo for sponsoring it. Really appreciate their support. Links are in the description. Go check them out. And yeah, appreciate their support as always. Sailor's borrowing 40 billion. Yeah, I briefly saw it right before going live. Sailor doing Sailor things. I don't know if I'm like, I mean, that's bullish for price short term. Longer term, I think that's quite bearish. Like long term doesn't really concern us, but like just generally him owning that much, not necessarily the best, I think. But short term, that's quite a nice catalyst. Like short term in the sense like over the next year or two, and then longer term, I think anything beyond that, it starts getting a little bit scary with how much he has of the Bitcoin that's available, but doesn't really concern us just yet. So yeah, let's run through time frames. Monthly looks good. I don't really see a good reason to panic. Bounced from support, kind of pushing for highs. Generally, this kind of looks like it should make new highs, even if it doesn't want to go up. Like that just kind of seems like the right thing to do. That'd be quite funny if it didn't. But yeah, I think new all-time highs kind of make sense, even if you're bearish. Yeah, nothing really bearish on the monthly time frame. The only way to turn the monthly bearish would be to lose 58K, and that's at this point quite far away, right? It's not his, it belongs to a company and shareholders. The MicroStrategy Bitcoin, yeah, but still, it's in one place. It's an American company. It's not like, I mean, it's not like America has been particularly stable in the last couple of years, you know. So if anything policy-wise changes there, I mean, he's gonna have to do what he's gonna have to do. And if Bitcoin goes to like 1 million, like people say, policies would change, I think, at that point, because then we would have big enough of an impact, and then MicroStrategy would be an easy picking, I think. But that is like for far into the future. I think just generally, like it's a scary thing to have too much of an asset concentrated in something like this. But yeah, so yeah, monthly time frame looks good. 1 day to close, we're kind of at all-time high, like it's above all-time high, at least in terms of closes, right? Like the highest close was here at 71-ish. Screen's too far away, so I cannot read the numbers and it's too late, but I think that's like that's a close at 714, and we're trading now at 72.1. So we're currently trading above the all-time high-ish, just haven't poked above it lower time frames. So that's good. No real reason to panic here. More reasons to be happy, right? On the weekly time frame, we have 4 days to go. The weekend is coming, and the only way to turn this proper bearish, at least this week, would be a close below 70k. I think that'd be bad news. At that point, you would expect a pullback back towards like the 60ks. If that doesn't happen, I mean, this just looks quite good, right? So close above 70k would be really good. Close below 70k would be quite bad short term. Longer term, not a problem. Short term, I think that would lead to quite a aggressive sell-off. A lot of people are betting on this breaking out, and for good reason, right? The charts look good. We've been consolidating for a long time. So it does kind of make sense to be like, hey, we're going to make a new all-time high. We're going to squeeze some of the bears. And that's all fair and well. And I think that's a good reason to be bullish. But you do want to like know that there's a lot of people basically aggressively betting. So if they get their ass handed to them, it's going to get worse in the short term, right? As in, if we lose 70k, I think we're gonna go towards like 64. Until that happens, no real reason to panic here either. Just a good looking chart, right? So you have a move up, move sideways, a move up right now. And as long as that move up isn't invalidated, and I think it would at least short term be, if we lose 70, that's all good. Coming in late, hope the family are all Gucci. Yeah, they are doing all right. When is the close? The weekly close is on Sunday, always. Just Sunday UTC time, if you want to know exactly. And if you, one way to kind of have it easy, I mean, it always says here on this side, so you go on the weekly time frame and it tells you like below the price that it's 4 days and 4 hours till the close. But what you can do is just you go on time zone and you go to UTC, and then you have the correct times on your chart as well. I have done that before. TradingView resets it. I don't really care too much. I have it in my, like, I know what time it is and when the close is and everything. I don't need this or this down here, but that's one way to do it. So weekly good, and the daily is also excellent, right? We are at resistance, and that's kind of what we're battling with, but it's been a resistance that's been tested a bunch of times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is the 6th time. That's a lot. That's not something I would necessarily want to fade. Like, you wouldn't see me short this. If anything, like if I was looking for shorts, I would do it with a weekly close below 70, right? Like that'd be the only way that I would short this all-time high breakout. I'm gonna assume it's a real all-time high breakout that is coming, unless that happens, right? So right now I'm team team breakout. If we lose 70, which is very, very close, it's nice. It's a very, very tight invalidation on that. Then I think there's pain to come, and could still go higher, right? Like you could still, at this point, we've moved far away enough from 60K that we could still, like if this is rejected, which I don't think it will, but I'm just saying if, we could still go higher, right? So not a problem in itself, and just generally like right now, it's more likely to break out here, go sideways. The only problem, or like go up, the only problem that we have that makes this a little bit of a risky trade, in my opinion, is that the US elections are coming, and the Bitcoin bet, right? The bet on Bitcoin has kind of been a bet on Trump. So before the elections, like right now, Bitcoin is pricing in a Trump win, right? Like that's kind of what this recent price action has been, and what we're gonna get going into the election. People are thinking Trump is going to win, especially crypto people are thinking, and they're betting quite aggressively. And they're doing it on Bitcoin. They're doing it on other places too, but Bitcoin is the largest one. So if there's a surprise upset and Harris wins, you're gonna eat shit short term, right? Whether that's very likely or not, I don't know. Like, I'm not really good with those odds. I think it's like pretty much a coin toss. I think the crypto people are a little bit too bullish Trump. I think it's like a 50-50, if not like 55% Trump, 45% Harris. Irrespectively of who I am rooting for. So you kind of have that looming over your head that needs to kind of go your way for this trade to stick. If Trump loses, I think there's a good chance that it goes short-term lower. Generally speaking, whether Harris or Trump wins, I don't think has much of an impact on where this is gonna go. People are always gonna make up shit, and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, Harris destroyed crypto if she wins, and crypto goes down short term. But I think it makes no difference. Like the price whether Trump or Harris wins in a year would be roughly the same. So I'm not too worried about that, and no matter who wins. But yeah, I'm just telling you, like short term, there is a lot of people front running the Trump win, and given I think it's a 50-50, it's a little bit of a risky bet, I think. Almost the betting odds are 2-1 in favor of Trump. Yeah, but that's I don't think that's necessarily realistic, but could be. If you think if you think it's that one-sided, like 66% Trump, 33% Harris, then like shoving a bunch of risk into crypto is not the worst idea. But always gotta be ready for the tail on that one. But yeah, it depends. I think if I had to bet on it, and I see like the 66 to 33% odds on Polymarket or whatever, if I had to take a bet, I would never long jump at that price point. I think, even though I think he's more likely to win, I think that's just mispriced. But it doesn't really matter. And I'd just much rather, like if I'm gonna bet, I'd much rather bet on the market rather than on those. But I'm right now not betting on anything. Did you make most of your money trading spot or perps, and do you use Woo for perps? I made most of my money trading spot. I did make a large percentage still on perps. Had quite a run for a while, and before like Germany kind of shut that down. But most of it is spot, and I do sometimes trade on Woo, yeah. But I don't really trade that much anymore. Like I do spot more than anything else. And I generally don't trade as much as I used to. Is it the sound low, or is it my shitty headphones? Probably half. It's probably half of your shitty headphones, and the people are always complaining about the sound. And I'm like, I've had a few people fix this, but I've been too lazy something I'm gonna have to get on. But as in, like, people are like, yes, it's loud enough, but you could make it louder, kind of deal. I'll work on it at some point, maybe in the next 2-3 years. But yeah, sorry about that. Whatever happens, you better believe DonAlt will be here to drop his political opinions, ranging from the manosphere to immigration to the US election. I'm not so sure about that one. But I mean, yeah, I think it's just generally like in the whole like American landscape that you have, like the politics in the US are very polarized, and it's very much like the left people, the left-wing people are kind of in their own bubble, and the right-wing people are just on Twitter. So kind of makes sense. Like, and I wouldn't even say I'm left-wing, but kind of makes sense to at least have some discourse that is not necessarily just the same over and over again. People circle jerking over the same candidate, which I find ridiculous. Like from my perspective, celebrating any of these clowns is just completely embarrassing. But I mean, everyone can do whatever they want to. But in Europe, it's kind of like a tradition to shit talk, and I mean, for good reason too, the politicians, right? And like, we don't really understand why people celebrate the politicians in America. It seems fucking weird to me. You listen to Technical Roundup and then the next thing autoplays and just you say goodbye to your hearing for a while. Yeah, sorry about that. It is what it is. Anyway, so yeah, all time frames look good, honestly. And the bears would have to do work to make this look bad, not the other way around. Like the bulls, they've done their work. The bears would need to shit all over this thing to make it bearish. Rent-free all euros. Think about the US election. I mean, I wish we wouldn't have to, but the thing is, like, given how small the world is now, it has a lot of impact on us too. Like, if Trump, for example, does the whole, hey, I'm not interested in NATO anymore, that has an impact on my life, whether I like it or not, right? Like, otherwise, if it was just like America doing America's thing, I couldn't care less, honestly. I find that whole political discourse really fucking tiring. Is perp trading banned in Germany even now? It isn't banned. It was never banned. It was just like a tax trap. Basically, if you made winnings, like let's say you made 100K, you lost 80K, you couldn't, like, you would have to pay taxes on 100K. You couldn't take those 80K and just be like, hey, I lost these, I made 20K and then pay taxes on 20. You would have to pay taxes on 100, which is very, like, taxes are very high, so it's 40%. So you would have to pay 40,000 in taxes, but you made only 20,000, which is just fucking bullshit. People are suing against the government and they are winning, but it always takes a while. But that is how it used to be. Now, like I said, a bunch of German people have sued, and they're very likely to win, and then this is gonna get rolled back. But it's a risky bet, you know. Like, if I trade perps and that like the volume just goes higher and higher, like even if you don't make any money, right? Like, if you have a volume of like 1 billion, you don't want to pay taxes on that, right? Like, you could run your tax bill higher than the GDP of some countries by just trading back and forth. Who the fuck came up with this? You don't want to know. The German fucking chancellor of all people, which is fucking embarrassing. He's a fucking clown too. It is what it is. Politicians doing politician stuff. But yeah, wasn't the chancellor, whatever, however you pronounce it in English, but back then, but now he is. And yeah, it is what it is. ETH's been going up. The Cope Triangle is alive, both on the weekly. The weekly ETH-USD chart's actually not that bad. It held support, so you have support here. We broke it a couple times, but last week we held it, which is good. And the Cope triangle on the daily time frame, no matter how you want to draw it. I don't know why I have this. Let me check. It's probably weekly level. It doesn't matter. So the triangle is alive and well. So yeah, ETH's, I mean, that doesn't look that bad. On the USD front, doesn't look that bad. On the BTC front, that's a tragedy still. We had a little bit of a bullish move today, but just generally been a little bit tragic. That said, it's still, like, we talked about this like months and months and months ago, right? When we're trading in here, that this is the area that is interesting. That's kind of where we are right now. So I think ETH's interesting. Good part is that Bitcoin's been carrying it, so you don't make much losses on the USD pair, and you can therefore, like, you can just kind of bet on ETH without losing too much on the USD front and hoping that the outperformance returns. Still, the weekly time frame is a little bit of a piece of shit right here. Not great. But yeah, I still have hope on that one, even though I sold my ETH because I just want to do other things right now. Don't really feel like trading. But I'm still on the bullish side of this. Like, if I had to take a position, it'd be a bullish one. Yeah, just generally think that makes sense. So, yeah. Do you think ETH will ever see 0.1? 0.1, yeah. Yeah, I think that's possible. End of the cycle, maybe. Like, if you get really lucky, I think 0.1 is possible, yeah. You sold, but if you had to take a position, you'd be bullish? Yeah, I mean, I just want to have no position right now. But if I had to have a position, it'd be a bullish one. I think I've made that pretty clear. So sometimes I just don't feel like it. You guys don't have that, where you're just like, I don't really want to be in the market right now. Like, don't care. Market goes up, market goes down. I don't really care. I have other things in my head. That's kind of how it goes for me. Like, has been going, like, in recent history, where I'm just like, I just trade whenever the fuck I feel like it. And when I don't feel like it, I'm like, okay, the market can do whatever it wants to. And then, like, 3 months later or something, I look at it again. I'm like, oh, it's interesting right now. I take a trade, and then I get bored of it again, and then I just close it. It's kind of how I do it. Isn't now one of the best times starting? I mean, we had one of the best times. Like, look at that chart. I don't necessarily think it's the best time. I generally, like, when I bought 58, right? So I bought 58 down here, traded that into basically this resistance. And I generally had a target between 80 and 90K. So something in here was always my target. And then I expected, when I took the trade, to see the end of the cycle here. So something like that, and then down, and then maybe a bunch of sideways for a while, maybe down. I don't know, but that's what I would expected. That's kind of what I was trading towards, and I still think that's the most likely outcome. Like, we break out, the breakout doesn't really do shit, and then it goes to shit. And to shit is not really that bad, given it's still in the 50 to 60K range. That's kind of what I expected and what I still expect-ish. But so I don't think the best times are starting. The best times were like the best times were at 16K all the way up. I think this is the end times ish, and not end times for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's gonna make new highs eventually. Just think, like, short term, I mean, also depends on the US elections and how the markets go afterwards, but just generally that's kind of my gut feeling. I don't have a strong view though. I mean, your opinion can still change about that. Yeah, of course, always can. It's not that like I'm not like this is 100% gonna happen, and I'm not gonna expect anything else. Like the market can do market things. Memes going to the way of the NFTs after the cycle are here to stay. I mean, memes have always, like people forget, memes have always been a thing. I mean, I was trading Doge in 2014. Like, it's not like memes are a new thing. It's just the dominance of memes is a new thing. So are memes going to be around next cycle? Very, very likely. Are the memes that we have right now around for next cycle? Very, very unlikely. So so yeah, that's Bitcoin. That's ETH. Like I said, ETH. I find ETH really interesting. I think the sentiment is way too bad on it. But the chart doesn't really reflect any bullishness people should have on it. Like the chart just kind of looks like shit. It's in an area of support, but it hasn't proven that that is actual support, right? That's the problem with these kind of lines. It's not like we capitulated into that area. We just kind of slowly bled into it. But I still find it interesting, right? In that area, I find it interesting. Anything in here, I think there's a chance that ETH starts outperforming Bitcoin again. But that might also just not happen. And just generally, when you don't see any strength anywhere on this thing, it's obviously like a little bit of a tough sell. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. The one thing that I do regret is Dogecoin. Like, could have held that a little longer. I sold like somewhere here, or was it here? I think it was on that. And then like there was a bearish day the day after, and then yeah, Doge doing Doge things. I think Elon tweeted about it again, but I don't, or like went on stage with Doge thing. Is what it is. That one's a little bit of a miss. Still got the 12 to 14 something trade, but not the 12 to higher. Generally speaking, chart wise, especially now with that breakup, that's not too bad. Dogecoin. Still think the meme target of $1 is actually not too crazy if if we maintain the bull market a little longer. Just basically needs the room. And right now, I think Doge, even more than Bitcoin, is a Trump win coin. So I think all of these gains that Doge had are gonna be erased if Harris wins. If Trump wins, I think Doge is gonna go up significantly, right? So like I generally think Bitcoin, if Trump wins, probably going to move up a little bit and then dump off. I think people are just way too overexposed on the upside of that. I think Dogecoin, if Trump wins, there's a good chance that like doubles or something. So like that's a more interesting, like I think a lot of people are taking the trade on Bitcoin. I think on Doge it's more interesting. Problem is that you're also just going to lose half of your money if Harris wins. But the upside versus the downside, I think, is much better there. Someone asked for Solana. Yeah, Solana looks like Bitcoin, a worse Bitcoin. And it's kind of struggling right now with the range high at like 180. If that breaks, right? And it's kind of like Bitcoin would need to break out, and then you could have like a Solana breakout. Then I could see it go towards like 300, maybe 400 if it's super bullish. I think that's the extent of it. But I have underestimated these kind of rallies in the past. So yeah. Sol BTC is an interesting one. That's actually been trading much cleaner than Sol USD has, and that's in a massive range. Neither bullish nor bearish. It has been making lower highs though. That's kind of where you're seeing this pattern emerge, where you have a high here, you have a lower high here, you have a lower high here. So that's gonna be an interesting one. I think if you can break this trend line, there's a chance that you get like proper Solana outperformance again. But until it does, I think you should probably look elsewhere. But yeah, outperform, like break that trend line, and then I think you can talk about the 300, 400 euros, dollars, whatever target on Sol USD. Don't break it, and I think you should be more defensive. And it's really interesting how we've been, like every time the Solana people get super euphoric about the Sol ETH chart, like it just goes down. Generally, that's been going up. But it's kind of funny, like every time I see a bunch of people tweet the Sol ETH chart, like that was last week, I saw it a bunch. This week it's down. And then now people are going to be like, oh yeah, the rotation to ETH has begun, and then it just starts all over again. Yeah, I wouldn't make too much of it. It's just a bunch of sentiment people. Like people are very sentimental about every 5-10%. I generally think this pattern has to break. Until it does, Bitcoin's the more interesting play on that front. I generally think Sol USD, like look, Sol USD on the monthly time frame, Bitcoin USD on the monthly time frame, like it's just the same basically. And Bitcoin looks a little bit better because it's consolidating in a better area, but they're basically the same. Elsewhere, in terms of Solana, like Yegus asks what he should be trading. Like if I'm saying look elsewhere, Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's more interesting. Like you don't have to trade the ETH stuff because that is very clearly not confirmed that that's in any shape or form being bought. But when you have like Sol versus Bitcoin making lower highs, Bitcoin might be the more interesting play. And that can change really quick, right? Like you start like breaking that trend line. I think that can change real quick. Solana's been the outperformer, so you want to be quick and nimble on these things. But you also have to realize that Sol BTC is up 400%. So you don't want to be too overexposed and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna close my eyes and bet on even more upside. I think it's just like somewhat justified in the case of Solana, but that's kind of how you get fucked at the end of cycles, right? So if you want to have a little bit of protection, and I think talking about the end of cycle right now instead of at like 80 or 90K is a little bit early, but yeah, you have a pretty easy invalidation on this right now with this trend line. But yeah, I do get where you're coming from, and I mean Solana's been the best coin to hold for a while, so I'm not necessarily hating particularly hard. I'm just like, hey, this trend line would be nice to be broken, and then we can go again. So yeah, that's that. Solana. There's a few more, but honestly, everything else is struggling. Like Pepe USDT, right? Someone mentioned Pepe. If you compare that to Bitcoin, like that's the Pepe chart, and that's awful. Like that's awful. That's an awful chart. If you want to have an even worse chart, like that's actually not that much worse. Pepe is really bad. This one might actually even be a little bit better. But still, like these bigger memes have actually been underperforming Bitcoin, and they kind of don't look that great against it. They look better against a lot of other altcoins, but against Bitcoin. And I mean, a lot of people wouldn't chart this, right? You're not really gonna trade with against Bitcoin. But the reason why I'm charting these is because basically you always have to make a decision, right? When you're like, hey, you have to make a few decisions. Decision tree basically goes to, do I want to buy crypto or do you want to sell it, right? And then when you arrive, okay, I want to buy it, it's like, do I want to buy the safest asset and the one that's kind of been going up cycle after cycle after cycle, Bitcoin, or do I want to buy altcoins? And that choice should be made based on Bitcoin versus altcoin charts, right? Not necessarily just based on your gut feeling or whatever. You should kind of make that choice based on how the market looks like and what is strong and what is weak, right? And right now, Bitcoin's been kind of like been the king of the hill. There's been a bunch of memes, obviously, like low cap memes that have been outperforming, but I'm talking about the bigger stuff. And Pepe and Whiff are now in the bigger leagues, right? So if they look bad against Bitcoin, would I necessarily want to be there instead of the relatively risk-free Bitcoin? I'm not entirely sure, right? So that's kind of the decision tree you have to make. When you're selling, and you don't have to make that many choices, right? But when unless you're shorting, and if you're shorting, there's a shitload of choices to make. But on the buying front, at least, you always have to make that choice whether you want to go into the safe thing or if you want to go into like the trash of the trash. And that choice has to be made based on what's performing well or not. How long would you say Bitcoin typically spends at cycle tops? I mean, what we're doing right now is very atypical. So anyone that tells you like, hey, I know exactly what's going to happen, it's just bullshitting. This is not normal, right? You look at any, because you asked me, Brave coin, does that still exist? What was it? I don't remember. Whatever. We'll just take Bitstamps, also quite old. There's an index that goes even further, but I forgot how it's called. You have a high here. Oops. You have a high here. It's broken. You Giga Moon, right? You have a high here. It's broken. You Giga Moon. You have a high here. We consolidate like a month. A Giga Moon. And then same thing here, you break the high, Giga Moon. And then here we broke the high and didn't make a new high and sold off entirely. And then we broke the high again and didn't do this, but also didn't do any of these, right? So this is completely new behavior. It's not how we usually trade. So anyone kind of pretending that they know just because they know, BLX, there you go. Doesn't really matter. It's like, yeah, that goes all the way down to the cents. Cannot believe it. Like that's, a lot of people would be like, what the fuck? You could buy Bitcoin at like 0.0 something. I mean, you could get Bitcoin for free for quite a while. So, but yeah. So as you can see here, I mean, it's the same story, right? This is a first. Will you buy back on the breakout, Don? No, like I said, I've had it with trading for a while. Like, don't really feel like it right now. Family comes first, and then I don't know. I just want to chill, basically. I don't think I'm gonna get much chilling when the second child is here, and so I want to get like the chill part out of me. Like finish the games I want to finish. Do stuff in the house, chill, and yeah, I don't necessarily want to sit here looking at charts. Don't need to. It's the good part. So, what are you playing these days? I mean, I'm playing Diablo 2 right now just because, and still finishing Black Myth Wukong, and I have a few more games lined up that I want to play. Baldur's Gate is one of the ones that I bought like months ago. I haven't played, so yeah. And a lot of like real life stuff is happening right now. Like people are getting married, and people are breaking up, and there's a lot of things that I can help people with. So I'm doing that right now. But I mean, I'm not gonna pretend like if Doge goes to 1, I might cope a little bit, just because it's Doge. Like if Bitcoin goes to 150k, I'm gonna be like, oh, whatever, is what it is. But if Doge goes to 1 and I'm not in it, I might cope a little bit. But I'm fine. Like generally, don't really mind missing out. Don't have that anymore. So you're saying you're not trading, but you have any long-term holding. So generally, I'm always exposed to crypto just because, just because of investments that I've made that are illiquid and contracts that I have and all that kind of stuff. So I'm always exposed. It's not like if crypto goes up, I generally make money, no matter what. So, I mean, you guys pump it. I'll be happy to make some money on the side. But any kind of investments in Bitcoin or ETH or whatever, no, I don't really. I'm not a big believer in crypto. I'm just a guy that trades it. In regards to the other coins, I don't think there's much that's really interesting. Jesus Christ, the biggest trash rally. Good times. I don't think there's that much interesting stuff happening. XRP fully retraced the pump it had. This watch list is useless. One thing that I found interesting that has me a little bit worried, just generally on the markets, is that GME is up a lot, like a bunch again. A lot, not, but it's kind of like putting in a little bit of a pump. It's generally not a good sign, but it's not too bad yet. It's just up like 10%, so that's not too bad. If that goes up a little bit higher, I start getting worried, but yeah. Do you think crypto was the only way to financial freedom for you? No. I'm generally good with, you put me in any situation, I'm quite good. I'm gonna figure out the way to get to the top if I want to. If oftentimes I'm too lazy, but if I actually put some effort in, I usually am really good at stuff that I try. Solana ETF, Moon. Yeah. Something announced, and that's all we get. It's kind of sad. Quite a bold statement. I might be wrong. You can never say. I just know that it's always been like that for me. You put me in any situation and I'll be in the top 10%, and I usually would not have enough effort to be the best, but somewhere in the top 10 where I would land, top 10%. Climbing corporate ladder is long though. You can't run it up like crypto. Yeah, but I don't know. It's impossible to say. Maybe I just got lucky with crypto and I would have never made it anywhere else. I actually don't know. I miss the old hungry bullish Don. I remember times when you said your mother didn't raise you to sell at the first resistance. Good old times with Twitch stream and stuff. Yeah. Those were the times, huh? Oh, that was good actually. That one was good. Yeah. That was for the people that don't know and were not around. That was actually ETH at I think it was here, when ETH was breaking out at 100 something, and I was my mother didn't raise me to sell the first resistance, which was 150, and I was this is gonna go higher, and it went to 300 something. I sold, I bought down here at 80, literally the Pico bottom. That was quite good. I bought and it was immediately in profit, and then I sold 200 something here. And then I didn't get a re-entry later. I bought Bitcoin, but I didn't get ETH, and then I bought somewhere up here. So this makes me look really good, but then ignore the stuff that happened after. But that's why I trade. I just generally I care about this more than I care about missing the rally after, especially given I got to buy Bitcoin low. ETH target. If we break out, oh Jesus, what the fuck? Please, it's too close. Get away. If ETH breaks out here, I think you should target proper stuff. I think just generally if we get above 3K or something, I think the next realistic target is like 5. Hey, I just joined. Are we making an all-time high? Thanks. I think so, but I'm not betting on anything right now. So, what would you do if you have 30K to your name? Trading or just working a normal 9 to 5 or building a company by your own? With 30K, and I mean this advice coming from me, because I was trading, like when I had 30K, I was trading a lot. But just generally, like if you haven't, I was a university student when I had 30K, right? So I just took a break from university and traded full time. So my advice is not necessarily what I did, but I generally think if you have a job and you can put money to the side, just fucking do your job. And like, it's going to be so much easier to trade on the side. So basically keep your job going or whatever you're doing. Trade with whatever you have, or don't even trade, just invest it. And if it grows big enough where you can actually start trading, good. But it's much better. Like I've seen people quit their jobs with way too little money, and then they're in such a shit position. When you need to make rent every month, trading, you're fucked. Like I can guarantee you're not gonna trade well. The stress of having to make a certain amount is gonna just basically make it almost certain that you're just gonna lose everything. Rather just keep going what you're doing, and then when you have like a large bankroll, then you can start thinking about it. But no, I wouldn't necessarily do what I did back then. But I was also really early, and I knew that I was early. I don't feel like I'm early to crypto anymore. But back then, like when Bitcoin was trading at 1K or whatever, or even lower, I was like, I'm so early to this thing. Like I can multiply. Like the only problem that I had back then is that I was like, I don't have enough money to put in this, because this is such a surefire way to kind of make money. And I mean, I was right at the end. Don't really feel like that's the case anymore. Like I don't think you look at, like back then I looked at Bitcoin, I was like, this can go to 10K plus easily, and Bitcoin wasn't even 1,000 yet. And then I'm like, okay, I can just easily 10x whatever I put in with very little risk, even completely disregarding altcoins. Now, if you think Bitcoin can go to 700K easily, then I mean, be my guest, but I think that wouldn't be an easy road. Like I think 700K would be quite a hard road, and the opportunity is not the same anymore. But that might just be because I'm old and I don't have the drive anymore. So if you have the vision and you're like, oh yeah, Bitcoin 700K is coming, maybe spend all your time doing it. But for me, I didn't have any responsibilities. I knew this was gonna go up. Just generally, the market was tiny and it just made a lot of sense. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna take a year off university and just trade as much as I can. And that worked out. And I haven't ever I never went back actually. Didn't finish my studies. Gonna quit trading after the end of the stream, damn it. Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, it depends on how hungry you are, and depends. But I think for most people, it's a bad choice. What age did you move out of your parents' house? When I was end of 16, starting from 17. So, yeah. What did your parents think about you taking off time off of uni? I mean, my dad died very young, so didn't have to didn't have to argue with him. But my mom was just like, just go for it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like I was good at stuff, so my mom was like, I mean, you always kind of make it work, so you're gonna be just fine. And then I was. So my mom was just like, you do whatever the fuck you want to do. It's gonna be fine. And I didn't really ask anyone else. Blood got kicked out of his house. Nah, I actually moved in with my first girlfriend back then, and bad choices, very bad choices. Cannot recommend. If you're a 16, 17-year-old guy listening to the stream, don't move with your girlfriend when you're 16, 17. That's a bad choice. I'm late to the stream. What do you do next to trading? Nothing. I mean, I trade and I do this. I do this show. I actually get paid for it, which is actually quite cool. Doesn't really move the needle, but it does feel like I'm a productive member of society, more so than when I don't do it. Like I feel like a proper bum. Before I did this whole like at least having 1 or 2 days a week where I quote unquote work, and I was like, I mean, the fuck am I doing with my life? But yeah, you can live with the girlfriend at 16. Yeah, I mean, I was 17, and in Germany you get paid. Like when you don't live with your parents, you get paid by the state. They basically pay you to. So we moved in together into an apartment, and the state paid for it, which is quite cool. Like went to school basically and lived in an apartment, and was all paid for. Was very tight money wise, but was enough. So yeah, there you go. Now you have a little bit of a backstory. I don't know if anyone cares, but there you go. You guys asked. It's not my fault. I need to move to Germany. I mean, the thing is, like, you get that, and so basically how it worked, right? When I moved there, starting from 17, I got my lifestyle paid for by Germany, and all the way to university. Like university is free. I got a loan, like ish. Basically, you get a free loan in Germany to study, and you only have to pay back half. So you take a loan, and university costs nothing. So you basically just get your rent and your food and everything. That's the stuff that you have to buy, and for that you get a monthly payment from the government. And then once you finished your studies, you have to pay back half of that over the next 10 years, and you don't have any interest. So it's basically just it's free money. And I got both of those things until I was like older anyway, which is really great, right? Like I think that's a cool system. But then also obviously normal Germans just pay more taxes, right? Like right now I'm paying good old 45% taxes. So that's also a different story, right? Like on the higher end you have to pay, but when you're younger and people that like have opportunities and stuff, I mean, they can take it. I mean, I came from nothing. My mom raised us solo, and didn't really have a good job or anything. So we were always struggling money-wise, but still could go to university without problems, without taking debt on, all that kind of stuff. So that's the story of how this goes. Like it has its up and downsides. This is why I pay my taxes, because I'm like, hey, I'm the only reason why I'm here. And the funny thing is, like, I saved a bunch of money of that loan when I went to university, and got money from the government, and that was basically a bunch of my starting crypto capital, right? So in essence, if I didn't have that, I couldn't have properly started with crypto. So that's why I'm like, fuck it. I'm paying my taxes. Feels fair. I got all that money and paying much more back, but it's what it is. Other people have the same opportunities if I pay my taxes as I had. What would Doug be if he didn't do crypto? I studied geology, like applied geology, which was just a bunch of maths and physics and all that kind of stuff. So somewhere there. Do you have a choice of paying taxes? I mean, in crypto you do, yes. I could have just moved somewhere else. It's really easy. Like a lot of people do. But yeah, that's the whole story. I hope that was interesting. Yeah. Chart wise, I don't really think there's too much more interesting stuff to talk about. So I think we're gonna call it a night. Like I said, I think quick rundown. Monthly good, no real invalidation. The weekly invalidation 70k. You don't want to close below that this week, or just generally. Like that's the line in the sand. I think below there, the Trump trade is gonna unwind, as in a bunch of people betting on Trump winning, taking crypto higher. I think below 70k that might unwind. Until it does, no need to panic. And on the daily time frame, there's really not that much bearish things going on. 68k is the line in the sand there. So yeah, hope that helps. Draw the Cope triangle for ETH. See whichever way it breaks, be bullish or bearish on crypto as a whole probably. If this breaks up, it's probably because Bitcoin went up a bunch. So yeah, appreciate you guys coming by. Big shout out to Wu for sponsoring the show. Their links are in the description. Appreciate their support as always, and we'll see each other next time. Bye bye.